Happy Sunday, guys! I have already been making a decent amount of progress through both of the books I'm currently reading. So first up is Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. I'm actually reading this for the group prompt in the Game of Tomes readathon. Since I did participate in the origin story last November, that meant that I got to continue a series. This is a prequel that I've been wanting to pick up, so it worked out very perfectly. I'm actually pretty far in. I think I have about 60 pages left, and I am really enjoying this. Angie Thomas's writing is just fantastic. Her character work, impeccable. I love the familial themes she puts into this, not just in blood family, but like in your chosen family as well. I've loved getting to see Maverick and his origin story. Maverick is a star in the Hate U Give's father, but you can definitely tell he's a teenage boy because, dear Lord, does he make some stupid decisions. One thing I have to say for Angie Thomas's writing that I find really impressive is how she has made the dialogue in this very street vernacular kind of style. I think it works perfectly since this entire book is from the perspective of a 17-year-old who is within a gang. It really feels very immersive, like I am truly inside Maverick's head. And then there's certain situations that she has written in a way that I think is so true to Maverick's character. The way his thinking does not pair with mine. So like there was a certain, I guess you could say, reveal that took place that was so shocking for Maverick. And even though, like, when I took a step back, I realized, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. But because I had been reading this through Maverick's eyes for so long, I didn't see it coming either because it was so shocking to him as well. And I really thought that was impressive. I do have a few lines that I did really enjoy. I'm actually trying to start pairing my little stickies with the book covers, but I didn't really have a nice red, black, gold also would have been a good color choice. You know, it's Concrete Rose, and so I got green for like the stems, close as I could get, okay? I don't remember if I said I've been listening to the audiobook of this one and occasionally picking it up physically, but for my actual physical read, I've more been reading The Wolf and the Woodsman by Reid. This is the book club pick for my best friends and I's book club for the month, and I've been really enjoying this. This is based on Hungarian mythology and Jewish folklore, which super interesting, not a basis I've really seen for a book before. There are a lot, I mean a lot of religious and political discussions in this, and I do actually really enjoy that. I think it's very interesting, and it makes for a wonderful dynamic between our two main characters since they are from opposing religions. We are seeing from the eyes of 𝗖cie, who is the only girl in her village of pagans that does not have a power. The women in her religion have different powers, usually based around fire. I think the main three are fire, forging, and healing. But if someone is particularly powerful, they can also be a seer. Well, when the Woodsmen come, and they come every few years to take one of these wolf girls back to the king, they once took her mother, but this year the seer understands that they are going to try and take the upcoming seer for their own gain. So they basically end up sacrificing 𝗖cie to the Woodsman. She's not particularly happy about it, but at the same time, she also realizes if she makes a big fuss about this, chances are her entire village will be murdered because this pagan religion is not accepted by the main kingdom and the majority of the country anymore. I do have a good few tabs. I am really enjoying this. Blue ones are for lines I'm liking. Pink are for sort of like romantic moments or things that I think are eventually going to lead to a romance between 𝗖cie and the head woodsman that she is now having to work with so that both of them can survive and possibly try to stop the king from bringing about this terrible war that could totally destroy the entirety of their country as they know it. This is very dark. There's a lot of gore in the first 50 pages. I was not expecting that, but I am impressed by it. The atmosphere is really wonderful. Anytime I've been reading it, I've been putting on ASMR videos with some kind of a forest theme. This one's actually the Shire, so like not quite the same, but it still kind of works. That's really just been immersing me into the book. I do really like 𝗖cie. She's a very prickly person. She's kind of an asshole, honestly. She's super bitter for not having powers, and she was not particularly liked by majority of her village, which also just makes her incredibly distrusting of everyone around her. On top of that, the person we are mostly seeing her interact with is a woodsman who she has been taught her entire life not to trust. So that aspect of her personality is just exacerbated. As for our woodsman, I am very intrigued by him. He is kind of an outsider in the woodsman and the kingdom, but at the same time, he is incredibly devout to the religion And he's sort of sassy. Like, there are little moments where he'll just have a quick comeback for 𝗖cie, and the banter between them is very fun. I think one of these pink tabs is actually for an entire chapter of them just snapping back at one another. I would say if you loved Nina and Matthias in 𝗖cieých𝘁𝘁𝘁, same energy, same energy. They were my favorite aspect in that book as well, and that's why I'm loving this. I am currently at page 108, so this is around 400 pages, making a good bit of headway. I'm honestly planning to kind of just buckle down and read for the rest of the night because I really want to make some more progress on this since I am enjoying it so much. What else am I feel like I'm reading something else, but I don't know what it is. Oh, I am, but it's an ebook for a different video, so I won't really be talking about it in this one all that much. Hey guys, happy Monday. So I am home for lunch. I'm currently heating up my food, and I just thought I'd say that I actually finished out 𝗖𝗁𝘁𝗁𝘁 today, finished out that last 60 pages, and I really loved this. Like, this was so good. It's very impressive to me that you can see the way that all of the adults in Maverick's life have influenced him for how his character is in The Hate U Give. Really well done. Along with that, just the development of Maverick from where the book starts to where it ends. So well done. Like, this is definitely a pretty quiet book. Like, there's not a lot of plot going on. The topics that are being discussed and the important themes that are used within it are definitely important, particularly in Black communities, but they aren't as heavy as police brutality, which was tackled in The Hate U Give. Really loved this. It was so good. Such a fantastic prequel. I loved being back with the Carter family. I really like how this book starts with Maverick having 7, and then it ends with Maverick about to have Star in his life, and I just thought that was so sweet and just really showcases how family is such a prominent theme throughout this series, and it was so good. On the opposite side, I decided to pick up next Bad Blood, Secrets and Lies in Silicon Valley Startup by John Carreyrou. Carreyrou? I don't know how to pronounce that. I really need to figure that out. I actually got the audiobook for this one as well. There are definitely a lot of names getting dropped. There's a lot of different medical terminology and like scientific terminology getting tossed around, which is not an area I'm particularly familiar with, which is why I'm not 100% sure on if this will stay in audiobook format, but I wanted to try it out just to see. I do like the narrator so far, and for the time being, we're kind of just getting a background on, what's her name? Elizabeth Holmes, who was the woman behind the the Theranos company, which she's obviously the person who was most responsible for the fraud and cover-up of the company. That's about all I have for you today. I don't think I mentioned previously that actually my parents are gone for the week, so I'm sort of have the house to myself for a week. I'm still gonna do some of my traditional things. I'm going to Bob's tomorrow. I'm gonna hang out with my girls on Thursday, and then I think Josh might come over on Wednesday just to keep me company so I'm not home alone by myself constantly. Yeah, so with that, I did do some grocery shopping yesterday because I needed to get some stuff to like actually make food. I am kind of going for stuff that's very vegetarian because usually can't really do that kind of thing with my parents. I don't mind eating vegetarian. My dad, however, likes meat. So, and then on top of that, don't want to blast through a bunch of money on takeout. Anyway, I'm gonna go eat lunch now because I am starving. I was not intending to update again tonight. Oh my god, this is so good. Like, it's so good. Enemies to lovers plus forbidden romance and then forced proximity. Oh my god, it is so good. It is so freaking good. Like, I'm sorry. This last chapter just gave me so much and then ripped it away from me all in one chapter. And Ava Reid, why would you do that? That is so rude. Little moments of like, you can definitely see they have feelings for each other and like they're finally kind of starting to realize this about one another, but they shouldn't do anything about it. Like, he's technically a woodsman who are like holy men and they're not supposed to have any kind of a relationship. Oh my god. Actually, the more I think about this, oh my god, this also gives me the same vibes as a really fantastic Darth Vader Padme fanfiction I love, where again, enemies to lovers, but like forced proximity and forbidden romance, like all that put together. And oh, that's also why I love this so much. Holy shit. This is the kind of fantasy romance I love, where like the basis of the main story is fantasy. It has romance in it, but like the main story is just fantasy. But it just has a fantastic backup romance that like, I'm super into the rest of the story. I am so along for the ride. Thus far, I think it's really fun that we're kind of just like following these two going on these adventures whilst they try to find this mythical thing so that they can hopefully their country from being dropped into a civil war. The romance that's developing between the two of them is so good. I should probably stop the music so I don't get copyrighted. Like I said, Anakin, Padme, Matthias, Nina, like just those vibes. So good. I needed to share that. I need to go to bed in 30 minutes, but damn, I want to keep reading. Hey y'all, so it's Tuesday. I'm updating on my lunch break because I'm gonna go to my brother's for dinner, so wanted to get this out of the way now. I've been really craving Indian for like the last 2 weeks, so hopefully we'll get Indian food tonight, but I might have just cursed myself by saying that because anytime I say what I am craving in a vlog, we get something different. Every time. Maybe I'll finally break that streak. Anyway, since I finished Squealing last night, I have actually gotten more read into Bad Blood by Carreyrou. I am really enjoying this. I actually have been listening to the audiobook some more, and I think what's really helped in terms of readability is the fact that the author writes this very similarly to a thriller in terms of pacing, and that's keeping me very invested, but also every single chapter focuses on one, maybe two people, and I think that's really helped me to keep the cast of characters straight. Obviously, these are real people, not characters, but like terminology. So even though there are a large number of people involved in this case, every chapter really only focuses on one, maybe two people's perspective. I do think you can tell that the author of this is a journalist because he just has a way of getting your interest very quickly and then keeping your interest by the layout he does in each chapter. Like the way he'll reveal little things, or if he changes perspectives, he'll end on a little cliffhanger in the first person before shifting, so you want to stay for the rest of the chapter so you can figure out what was gonna happen with that little cliffhanger. Because of that, I have been moving through this pretty quickly. I'm actually into, where are we? Chapter 7 now, so I'm moving along pretty quickly. That's like 80 pages in, and I only started this yesterday. I don't think I read any further into The Wolf and the Woodsman after squealing at you guys last night. Oh, I did, actually. Yes, I did. We got into the capital, which is where they were traveling to. I'm nervous to see where this is gonna go. I'm at about exactly the 200 page mark, 50% through. I think what I really liked about this is since I went in fairly blind, like from the basic summary I had, I just didn't really know what the plot was gonna be in this, and like that's made it all the more entertaining. Definitely just like another reason why you should go into your books not knowing too much. Still a very character driven book though, and obviously as a character driven reader, I am eating that up. This is slow moving. The way Reid has dropped in little moments here and there to just remind you that there is something building between them and to like give you a tiny little glimpse into the Woodsman's perspective as well. She knows what she's doing in terms of that. I am very intrigued by her next book that's going to be coming out. I think it's called Juniper and Thorn. I actually entered into 2 different giveaways to try and get that book. I want it. I want it badly because holy crap, I'm loving this so much. So I need more from this author. Anyway, that's really it for now. I'll probably have some more B-roll for you guys tonight, but I probably won't be talking to you again until tomorrow. Good afternoon. Today has been quite a day. Faith woke me up at 5 a.m. I thought she had tummy problems, so automatically went to go let her outside. I let her out. What'd she do? She just runs around and barks. Thanks, girlfriend. That was really great. I really wanted a 5 a.m. wake-up call for that. But I will say her stomach was making a lot of weird noises, so I stayed up. I went into the living room just in case, like, she did need to eventually run outside. I got up and got like 40 pages read into The Wolf and the Woodsman. I actually even read a little bit today when I was eating lunch. It was super nice out. I am at 278, and guys, this takes like a turn I just was not anticipating. I am so freaking loving this. I definitely know this is not going to be everybody's cup of tea though. I can't really say anything else because honestly it just gets into spoilers, and like I think it's so much more entertaining if you go into this book not really knowing anything like I did, but I'm loving it. I'm loving it so much. I'm like nearing the 300 page mark, which means I'll only have about 100 pages left. I've also been listening to the audiobook of Bad Blood, and I think I'm roughly around 186. Something I do think's interesting in terms of his discussion about Elizabeth Holmes, the woman that was behind the entire company, is he doesn't really consider like a motive. I mean, obviously money was a clear motive. Apart from it, I don't know, I just think it would be interesting to kind of look at like the psychology of her. We learn little things from other people's perspective of her and how she presented herself as a businesswoman. Like she would make her voice deeper to try and make other people take her more seriously. She dressed in a way that literally emulated Steve Jobs. What kind of a person is she really? Not when she's putting on a facade. What is she actually like? I will say in terms of like the scientific and medical jargon, I was kind of worried that would be alienating as well, but it's not too bad. For the most part, if something is dropped that I don't automatically know, Carreyrou does a pretty decent job of explaining it in layman's terms. I just really want to see where this house of cards that Holmes and her partner Sonny have created and what's going to officially knock it over. I do definitely want to check out like the documentary, the Amanda Seyfried movie. I am so interested to see other sides of the story, and I do think it would be very interesting to see how Amanda Seyfried, who is a fantastic actress, creates this character of Holmes, because like I said, I'm just fascinated by the psychology of her, and from the trailers I've seen, it seems as though everything is from her perspective in the fictionalized TV show. Whew, okay, I'm getting really freaking hot. Yeah, I went to work this morning and like a sweater and jeans. I was wearing combat boots, but I took those off. But yeah, because it was kind of chilly this morning, and now I am super ready to just change into a t-shirt and shorts. Oof, okay, that's so much better. Anyway, so I was also talking about how today has been insane before I got hooked up on reading updates. Had an early wake-up call. Thankfully, I did kind of take like a 30-minute nap on the couch. Then I went to work, and I'm in the financial industry. It's tax season, so it's usually fairly busy for us. But yesterday was fairly quiet, and I should have known that because yesterday was quiet, today was gonna be insane, which is what it was. Like, thankfully, the phone wasn't ringing off the hook or anything, but my inbox was like going all day long. I also was on hold for probably a total of an hour between all of the different service centers I had to call. So that was a really fun time. Oh, and I can definitely tell that my period is gearing up. Used to never get cramps. I've been getting them more and more recently, and I'm noticing that I get them when I'm PMSing more than I actually get them when I'm on my period. And I hate that. I hate that so much. Like, why? Why, body? Why, uterus? Why do you do that? Okay. So I did mention previously that apart from these 2 books, I was also reading a ebook, but I wasn't really going to talk about it in this video because I was reading it for a different vlog. Well, I ended up DNFing that book, and since that was the main book for the video, that video got scrapped.
so I can now talk about it with you guys. I was reading Sari, Not Sorry by Sonya Singh. It was a rom-com which was following this woman that's a CEO of a company which emails people's significant others to break up with them. Yeah, at one point they said that emailing was better than texting, and like, I don't know if it really is. So anyway, she is incredibly job obsessed, but she is also Indian, and her parents raised her to be all American. She doesn't really have any ties to her roots. And recently she was on the cover of a magazine, and she realizes after it has gone to be published that they whitewashed her. So since then she is starting to really feel disconnected from her past. Her parents have recently passed away, and she has basically been ignoring that grief by being obsessed with her job. Also, she's already engaged with somebody else, even though this is a romance, and her fiance was a total dick. Also equally obsessed with his job. His parents were kind of racist and were constantly being microaggressive towards our main character. That's great. Then we meet the love interest, who is named Sammy, and Sammy is Indian. He currently has a white girlfriend, but he wants to temporarily break up with her because his brother is getting married and the oldest son can't bring a white girlfriend with him to his Indian family wedding because that's just not traditional. That goes against norms. What will the family think? What will the other family think? Like, he's so worried about the reputation situation and just not even considering what this is gonna do to his girlfriend in the long term, which, like, can I just say that right there sounds like the basis for an Am I the Asshole post on Reddit? Yeah, so pretty much right out of the gate with him, didn't particularly like him, kind of felt bad for his girlfriend. Even with all of that character drama, I just wasn't really invested, and the biggest issue I actually had was in terms of the writing. The writing style was very dialogue focused. I can deal with a dialogue-focused writing style, but it just didn't feel natural. All of the dialogue seemed incredibly inauthentic. It was really clunky and long-winded. This is an even tougher pill to swallow when coming off of A Brush with Love, which was a romance book that I really enjoyed, so I was hoping to find another romance book that I really enjoyed. Yeah, that was just an arc that did not mesh well with me. So thankfully I can knock that off and focus back on both of the books that I am really enjoying. Anyway, it's Wednesday. Josh is gonna be coming over and spending the night. You know, in season 8 of New Girl, whenever Schmidt and 𝗖cie realize, oh my god, there's like 38 different entrances into the house. Yeah, that's me. So Josh is coming over. We're gonna make dinner and probably just laze around a little bit, maybe watch some movies or something. I don't know. Possibly watch more Peacemaker. Oh my god, that show is so funny. Like Deadpool, but Guardians of the Galaxy, and then set with like the DC grittiness. If we have any fans, my favorites are Vigilante and Adebayo. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I might possibly get a little bit red before Josh gets here. I don't know. Might just laze out on the couch. Also kind of want to watch MasterChef. We'll see which one I end up doing. So it is Thursday, and yeah, I've gotten back from work. My parents are coming back tonight, so I kind of just like went through and got the house ready. Also, I went by the library. I had put a book on hold. I think it was The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave, which is going to be apparently my book club read for next month for like my personal book club that I do with some friends. But also I think it's the book club pick for this month with the Whiners book club. So I was going to try and get it done this month a little bit early for my personal book club, and then that way I could also attend the live show for the Whiners. Thing is, I don't have the book because apparently somebody else who has the same last name as me went to the library as well, and they checked out like a bunch of books at once, and mine just got mixed in with theirs, so I didn't get my book. Thankfully, the library called that person and they said that they would bring it back tomorrow. It was no problem. So I did not intentionally mean to finish Bad Blood today, but I did because I was listening to the audiobook while I was doing some stuff that didn't require a ton of attention at work. I was at maybe 60% last night, and then next thing I knew, I had finished. I just was so invested, and I could tell we were reaching the climax, so I didn't want to stop. That being said, I will say the ending kind of was very sudden and like not lackluster, but I guess it was just a little anticlimactic. Thankfully, the audiobook I was listening to and the physical book. So the audiobook had like one afterword. This had an additional one also, which gave a little bit more of a solid ending, because I assume whenever this book first was written and published that Sunny and Elizabeth, who were the two heads of the company, they hadn't been charged with anything yet. A little afterword in this explained what actually has happened since this book was initially published. So like a more satisfying ending. The readability aspect continued all the way through. Once John Carreyrou actually became involved in the investigation, then it shifted to his specific perspective and experiences. There were occasional little portions that would be other people who we'd seen from previously that were trying to help him in this investigation. At that point, it just felt like it was a first-person investigative mystery novel. Between those two different layouts, it really made this read like a podcast, and I think that's kind of why I blasted through the last half of it, because it felt like a podcast. Since Josh was over last night, I did not get any more read into The Wolf and the Woodsman, but I'm doing productivity sprints tonight with my two best friends, I think, so I probably can get at least to the 300 page mark tonight, probably even more if I'm being honest. I think I'm gonna pick up another audiobook. I actually think I'm gonna take A Certain Someone on a Certain Something. I'm not gonna say it because she's sitting right there, but yeah. I think while I'm walking her, I'm gonna pick up the audiobook for Anxious People by Frederick Backman so I can start into this. I am kind of going back and forth on that because I do also kind of want to read this physically, but it's not terribly long, and I think at least with starting the audiobook, it'll get me immersed into the story to start, and then hopefully I can pick it up physically. This will be my first time trying out any of Frederick Backman's work. I have heard lots of good things about all of his books, but this one sounded very up my alley and the least serious of his stuff, so I thought this might be the easiest place to start in terms of not destroying my emotions. I only have one other book until I will have officially finished out my March TBR, and that's my graphic novel for the month, Kingsman. So I'm really close to finishing my March TBR. That's kind of why I didn't think it would be a big deal if I went ahead and read The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. It, like I said, kind of knocking out two different book clubs with that one. I've also heard really good things about it, but I won't lie, there is also part of me that would love to read the next book in the Charlie series. I haven't picked up the 10th book yet this month, but I do want to continue with my reread of it, so I might do that too. I don't know, decisions. So it's Friday night and I honestly completely forgot to update up until now, but I have nearly 80 pages left in The Wolf and the Woodsman. I'm really enjoying this. We had a additional character who has joined our Wolf and Woodsman, and like I'm not particularly happy with the person it is because they're being a block to my romantic shipping, but at the same time it is very interesting, is causing some entertaining interactions, and like the banter is great, and then at the same time the Woodsman is incredibly protective of Vicky and I'm loving it. I also found some additional pink tabs, so I finally got to go through and make it so that they all actually match and make sense for everything, because I'd run out of pink so I was just using green, and then I ran out of green so I was using orange, and then I ran out of orange. But anyway, I'm really hoping I will finish this in this vlog because I'm very close and I am really loving it. On the opposite side, I've been reading more into Anxious People. I am really enjoying this. I am about 93 pages in and unsurprisingly, I already have a few tabs. I have heard that Fredrik Backman's writing is just very relatable, very quotable, and I'm not really surprised that I've been tabbing some things here and there. Now that I've started into it, I think I can actually give a decent summary. This is following two police officers who are investigating an initial bank robbery and then hostage situation, which came about when the bank robber realized that the bank he went to rob is actually cashless, and then he ran out, freaking out, thought he saw a police officer, ran into the first building he saw, ran into the first open door, which was an apartment viewing. Then he unintentionally held all those people hostage. We bounce back and forth between the different detectives who are actually a father and son duo. Occasionally we see from one of the perspectives of the hostages. Thus far, I think I've only really seen from two of them. And then we also have an outside narrator who, for her specifically, I can understand why people would not like this writing style, because it's super stream of consciousness and it almost feels like the narrator has ADD. In that way that they will be talking and they will be focusing on the main story, and then there will be one little line that sidetracks them and they do a paragraph about that before continuing back on with their original point, and then inevitably something else will distract them and they'll do a little tangent about that before getting back to the main point. I think the reason it's not really bugging me in this is because it's very short little tangents, like they only last a paragraph, and 9 times out of 10 they're sort of just ridiculous, but at the same time you totally can follow the line of thinking there, and I think that's part of why it works. So far, the characters are all kind of annoying at times, but I'm also very invested in all of them. I have gathered quite a stack of books in the last few days. I found a little free library when I took Faith on a different route than normal, and so I picked up Small Sacrifices by Ann Rule. Ann Rule is like the queen of true crime books. She actually knew Ted Bundy, and that's kind of what spurred her writing of true crime stories. So this one is actually about the case of Diane Downs, which I do know I've heard this story on probably more than one podcast, but I thought it would be really interesting to read the book itself. It is almost 500 pages, so it could also count for one of my big books some month. Yeah, so I added this to my own TBR. Then I ran by the library and I picked up a lot of books. Oh, well, actually, not this one. I already had this one. I got to pick up The Last Thing He Told Me. I also grabbed Delilah Green Doesn't Care. I was not planning to get it, but I saw it and I've been hearing so many positive things that I just decided to swipe it, and maybe I'll make time for it eventually. And then I also got another Fredrik Backman. My grandmother asked me to tell you she's sorry. Part of me thinks this is dangerous territory because grandparent stuff does make me cry, but the other books they had were either novellas or Beartown, and I honestly don't know if I want to read Beartown just because it seems very heavy, and I don't know if I emotionally want to do that to myself. Then on top of that, I have been accepted for not one, but 2 ARCs in the last day. One of them does not come out for a hot minute, but one of them comes out in exactly 10 days. Thanks to NetGalley for accepting me super late in the game. Hopefully it doesn't get archived for a while after the publication date, but that is 10 Steps to Nanette by Hannah Gadsby. She's an Australian comedian. I believe she is autistic and gay, but she's freaking hilarious. I initially came across her from watching Please Like Me. This is her memoir, so as soon as I found out this was becoming a thing, I just had to get it. I am gonna get ready for bed. I'm gonna read my book, because like I said, I'm determined to finish this. It's gonna happen. I just, fingers crossed it's gonna happen.
So, yeah, the same shape. The exact same shape as mine.
Hey guys, so it's actually Sunday. Sorry, I just never took the time to update yesterday, but I've had a very busy last few days. Josh came over yesterday. We went and saw the new Batman movie, and I do have to say, I was impressed. I had low expectations, but they did good. I think the best part of this was that we actually treated Batman like a detective and not like a superhero, which love that. The cinematography, beautiful. The soundtrack, fantastic. However, can somebody please teach DC how to up the exposure? Because Good Lord, a lot of those scenes are very dark. And then this morning, Josh and I went to the Arboretum and we had a picnic. We walked around. It was gorgeous. It is tulip season, so lots of beautiful flowers. We used to do that every time I came home for spring break when I had been away at school, so it was really nice to do that again. In terms of books, I finished The Wolf and the Woodsman, so I finished 3 books this week. Look at me. I'm so proud of myself. I really enjoyed this. This definitely gave me that fairy tale creepy atmosphere vibe that I've been looking for since To Kill a Kingdom and The Bone Houses, except this was definitely a little more gruesome, shocking amount of gore. I do sort of wish in terms of writing that, given how verbose this was, that the writing was a little more flowery. There was a lot of verbiage there, but didn't technically always feel necessary, I guess. One thing with that though is the atmosphere, very strong throughout this. So sort of a negative at times, sometimes a positive. Also, my other negative was just plot pacing was kind of weird because the first half of the book is pretty different compared to the second half. Like I mentioned previously, at the beginning, it's as though you're following our wolf girl and woodsman as they're going on, not really adventures, but like they're ending up in certain situations which they then have to handle, and then they move on to the next thing. Once we get to the capital, it definitely changes. It is much more focused on the central plot. The first half is pretty slow moving, the second half a lot faster. However, through and through, I loved the character work in this. I thought it was fantastic. The religious and political discussions taking place had me so invested. The gruesome aspect of it really caught me off guard, but at the same time, it felt perfect for the atmosphere of this world and the plot that we were following. Yeah, I haven't really gotten anything else read apart from that, however, but I did just, like I said, have a really nice last 2 days, and I need to edit this video. So thank you so much for coming to my channel. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!